Well, welcome to Martalks, where we discuss issues impacting solutions within the retail and e-commerce landscape. And today we're joined by the CEO of HuLoop Automation, Todd Michaud. Todd began his career at IBM and successively became the CEO of pricing optimization firm Revionics. Was the president of Martalks when it was acquired by NCR and went on to become a general manager there at NCR, and then became the CEO of Demandtech, another pricing optimization firm. And now he's founded a cutting edge artificial intelligence solutions firm and no code automation platform, HuLoop Automation, that purports to reduce the amount of tedious and repetitive tasks that retail associates are involved with every day to make them happier and more productive. So, Todd, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Daryl. Good to be with you. It's a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate having a fellow Vermonter on the line today.
We do share that. We're both from Vermont. We've been talking about our love of the great outdoors, and good to be with you today.
A couple woodchucks in technology.
I've been called worse.
We'll go with that. We'll go with woodchucks then. Well, to help ground our listeners in what you're doing, you've described HuLoop as an intelligent automation that behaves like a human would do. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we've got this amazing technology. It is an AI-based, no-code, intelligent automation platform. There's a variety of automation engines that we can talk about, but fundamentally, at the end of the day, what we do is we create digital assistants and digital workers that automate what we don't want our people to do. Did you just throw a ball at the dog? So in any event, so imagine today in retail, most retailers have legacy processes in place, somehow tied to systems that have been in place for many, many years. And if you really inspect what our people are doing, all retailers and supply chain organizations would say, hey, some portion of what we're asking our people to do, we'd rather have them not do. And so our digital workers and digital assistants get deployed to essentially take some of that off the plate of our people. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, what led to the founding of HuLoop?
Well, first, there's a lot of external factors going on out in the market where it's increasingly getting harder and harder to find people, to keep people, et cetera. And as businesses are seeking to grow, they've got to find new ways to get things done. And so HuLoop Automation happens to be the right technology at the right time, where as you're looking at maybe transforming the way that work gets done, the old techniques of the past were just hiring more people or leveraging big complex legacy ERP systems or supply chain platforms and implementing those. It's too expensive and too time consuming. So HuLoop was born, as a result of the opportunity to essentially bring new weapons, a new suite of weapons, a full arsenal to the table to solve some of these age-old problems in new and different ways.
The economic headwinds that have been affecting us with inflation apparently haven't taken that big of a bite out of the employment picture. And while we may have a recession approaching, there haven't been very many job cuts taking place within the retail sector at this point. How does that affect the positioning of an automation provider like HuLoop?
So, it's interesting. It's a tale of two stories. And so I'm here in Northern California. And if you think back over the last few weeks about tech companies, there's been a plethora of job cuts at Meta, at DoorDash just the other day. Many other companies are in fact cutting on the tech side. And I think tech is kind of a leading indicator, ultimately for what we're going to see in retail and other industry sectors. And so, we're fortunate that we're approaching this a recession with twice as many jobs as there are job seekers, I guess. This is the first time that we've seen that, in approaching a recession. But just to your question, it's an amazing time to be in the automation business where CEOs, other leaders are trying to figure out, how to do more with less, how to, drive productivity. And so imagine, CEO walks into, a leadership team meeting and says, there's a hiring freeze, or I'm looking for a 10% or 20% job cut. The work doesn't go away. And so, how do you solve that problem? Whether you're still hiring, you're frozen, or you're cutting, the fact is, the work doesn't go away. So, HuLoop is all about still getting the work done, no matter what the labor situation happens to be. We're probably one of those companies that will enjoy outsized growth during the recession. It's probably I always tell people the two best times to buy software are when you're going gangbusters and growing, and you need to control growth and manage it, or when you're facing headwinds, economic headwinds or adversity. That's an ideal time to look at the application of new technology.
Well, I mean, it's readily obvious that skilled worker retention is just a huge issue in retail. They just have tons of turnover. People come and go. It's a very transient population of workers. How does HuLoop make workers stickier?
Oh man, that's a great question. So let me let you in on a little secret. When you ask people openly and honestly what about their job they like and what about their job they don't like, um, in private settings, they're going to tell you, I hate doing these things, these tedious, mundane, repetitive things. You ask them what they like, they like using their head, they like using their emotional IQ, their judgment. What we do to make people stickier is we take all of the crap that they don't want to do. Excuse my language. They take
You're
all of the stuff,
excused.
all of that stuff, that tedious, mundane stuff. Let's not ask our people to do it anymore. Let's bring work-home life balance to our people. Let's have our people enjoy their work more because they're using their head more. There are things that exist in every retail enterprise that only humans can do, but we're wasting that human capital, that human capacity with stuff that they need not do. And so HuLoop is an ideal solution for addressing that problem. And so at the end of the day, if we're creating happier workers and we're still getting the work done, that's a great outcome.
Well, I look at your case studies, and it's quite clear that HuLoop is an OEM supplier to other vendors as well, and
Yeah.
of your AI technologies. And what are the differences when you're selling to another software company versus selling to retailers themselves? And what would the advice be that you would give
Sure.
to anyone doing something similar?
Yeah, you're right. So first, we just as you said, we go to market directly to clients, business to business, and we work directly with our retail clients and clients of other industries. That's our primary methodology, but we do have a number of partners, and we've got two types of partners specifically. We've got consulting and systems integration partners that we work with that sort of provide business transformation or digital transformation capabilities around our product. And then, as you said, there are software companies that use us for a variety of things. And because we have this no code AI based platform, the term OEM is what we use, where we'll essentially build automation capabilities that are branded and represented as part of our retail partners' capabilities. And so the client doesn't really even need to know that there's some HuLoop automation uh, uh, digital assistants or digital workers in the software providers ecosystem. They essentially sell them, support them, et cetera, and we are a behind the scenes player in that capacity. And so those are the three go to market scenarios. I like that OEM model quite a bit. We work with some amazing companies in this space that have advanced decisioning capabilities or supply chain execution capabilities, merchandising, enterprise software capabilities. And we don't want to do what they're great at. We want to sort of fill in, some of the gaps that they have. And I guess part of our role, especially with respect to these software providers, is that there's no software provider, even the biggest of big. We think of SAP, we think of Oracle. There's nobody that can provide a holistic solution to a retail enterprise. And so every retailer has got this portfolio of solution providers that they've invested in. Some are best of breed, some they build themselves. And so HuLoop has the capacity to essentially be the glue that stitches this complex landscape together, through our automation infrastructure. And that's how some of the software companies are working with us. It's not so much they use us inside their application, but in between their application and perhaps other things that the client may be doing.
You're an AI powered solution, and that is a double-edged sword. There's obviously two major types of automation that are really in use in the marketplace. One is to replace workers, and the second is to augment them. So AI, to a certain extent, it's snake oil to some, and fascinating to others. It's like, really, what kind of AI do you have, and how is its perception in the market changing? And what's your advice to other companies positioning around AI?
You know, we are HuLoop, human in the loop intelligent automation. That means that we are a people business, and of course, we're applying AI. But this isn't, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator world where it's robots against humanity. It's quite the opposite. What we're really focused on is, how do you harmonize automation, AI-powered automation, with what humans bring to the table. So it is augmentation, it is support, it is acceleration. It's not about replacement. You talk to maybe some greedy CEOs running enterprises of certain types, and they imagine this peopleless business. No such thing exists, and even with our clients and all of our experience, I would say I never really see people go away. Quite honestly, I see work transform, and we need to start thinking about job transformation rather than job elimination. Human capital. It's the difference maker for so many organizations. Let's augment it. Let's empower it, and then let's liberate it as well. The reason why most enterprises aren't really able to get the most out of their human capital goes back to what I said earlier. They're having their people do stupid, crazy, redundant stuff that they've been doing for years, and maybe it's because their system is 3 decades old or 2 decades old, and it's been done always that way. So we are human liberators and augmenters rather than the robots are taking over humanity, people.
Well, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I'd hate to have a robot trying to do my job. It would
Me
really.
too, my friend. Me too.
Actually, they might do mine better, but yours, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we're better out with you. And I mean, at this point,
Yeah, Daryl, maybe we should do a POC with that. Just to double check that.
Absolutely. I think there's some vendors out there that would love to have me replaced. So I'm sure there'd be an enthusiastic number of them participating in that. But at this point, you've built a number of companies. You've been the CEO of several companies and been through major liquidity events. And successful commercial leadership really depends on expertise, gravitas, connections in a sector, having sold repeatedly into major retail accounts to understand how their decision making as a merchant. Who are the individuals in that buying committee? Who are the chief buying personas you want to address? CDP vendors want someone with a CDP profile and so on. But software innovation is just moving at such a clip right now. and solutions to solutions such as HuLoop is evolving, is it always possible to recruit talent with the right experience? And how does this change? How do you ensure your leadership is going to be successful? What's your secret sauce in terms of building the people around you that are going to be successful?
I love the question. Well, first, I want to acknowledge that I've had the privilege of working with some amazing people at terrific companies. Just basically a long-winded way of saying I'm an old guy, but I've had some great experiences with great companies, and proud of that background, by the way. But every step along the way, it's always been about the team rather than me or any other single factor. And I guess the real answer to the question is you surround yourself with brilliant people who are mission aligned and passionate about what we do. I love working with clients. I love introducing them to new innovation. I like helping them solve business problems, and I just surround myself with people always a lot smarter than me, particularly in their own domain, whether it be technology, product, go to market, delivery capabilities, whatever it happens to be. And then, we make sure that we build shared cognition, alignment around what we're trying to accomplish. And that's how great companies, get, born and built. And look, at the end of the day, you need delighted customers. And so everybody's got to be, focused on serving the needs and interests of the client. And if you get the right people on board, the job of a CEO becomes much, much easier. That I can attest to. I'm very fortunate with the team that we've assembled, here at HuLoop.
Well, I got to say, it'd be an awful lot easier for me to surround myself with people that are smarter than I am in building a company. It's certainly more of a challenge for someone as experienced as yourself, but
You're too
you've
kind.
managed to do
It's not so hard. Not so hard. Look, it's a really a great time to be in our industry, in the tech industry, serving great retailers, great brands, others in kind of the greater ecosystem, what's called the supply chain world, whether it's brands, distributors, retailers, or other customer-facing, organizations. There's so much opportunity for transformation, opportunity for innovation, and there's open minds as well. I've seen particularly over this post-pandemic era, more openness, within retailers, long-standing retailers with great historical, track records to solve these age-old problems using new techniques. And by the way, when I started my career, I spent 16, almost 17 years with Big Blue. And it was at the time where everybody bought Big Blue. You couldn't get fired by buying IBM. I loved being able to plunk down my IBM business card.
4690s. 4690s ruled the POS world. Yes.
That is true. And by the way, I date myself further back than that. But what I would say is if you look at, we went from kind of that paradigm where everybody went to the Big Blues of this world to a paradigm today where we see experimentation, working with startups, having skunk work projects, in place. There's renewed openness on the part of retailers to, engage, with, companies that maybe historically they wouldn't have engaged with before. And so exciting time for our industry serving retailers.
We've addressed worker scarcity and transients within the retail market, but what are you seeing today in terms of the solutions that retailers are prioritizing in this economy? What's moving up the decision tree between the various technology initiatives and digital transformation initiatives that you're seeing out there? And overall, what do you see in the retail solutions market in general here in Q4 of 2022?
Great question. So first, just given the
I think I just gave us two more centuries, but
Well, some retail clients may still be using the same technology, and you said, um, what I would say to answer your question is that most retailers don't have the appetite for these big, massive enterprise systems right now. They're anticipating, cutbacks, economic headwinds, et cetera. And if we think about the pandemic era, everything was focused on digital transformation, e-commerce, making sure that we had enablement to serve customers in new ways, new channels. Post pandemic, I think that there's this plethora of AI powered capabilities. Some are in the automation vein, some are in the analytics vein, and other areas. Really, every part of the enterprise is being touched by what I would call best of breed, advanced technology that are smaller, base hits, quicker and easier to deploy, cloud rendered, quick to stand up, quick ROIs. I find that those are the things that retailers are spending time in. And, part of this is brought on by the fact that technology such as HuLoops and, many of your listeners are much more open, to working in this open ecosystem. And so gone are the days where, one vendor wouldn't talk to the other. And retailers are dependent on companies like us to stitch together these best of breed applications in concert with their legacy systems, their ERPs, their supply chain execution platforms. But I think it's a great time, to be in, a best of breed targeted a space that has a high ROI. Now, for us, when I talk to clients about what are the benefits of automation, for example, it is really rare that I can't show for every dollar I charge the customer a $20 return on investment. Now, just think about that. If you and I got into a little game here where you were giving me $1 bills and I was giving you $20 bills back, you would make sure that you were not running out of $1 bills. It's such a high magnitude, high impact return on investment. And when we were talking about this post-COVID era, this COVID era where everybody was focused on e-commerce, now it's how do I focus on digital transformation within my four walls across the supply chain. Those are the things that people are really honing a focus on. Being more efficient, driving up productivity, reducing cost, and improving customer experience.
Well, I was searching my desk here for a couple of bucks because I really want to play that game. But, we're in a digital world, so I don't have any paper money.
Well, you were probably going to try to FTX crypto currency, and so I probably wouldn't play that game with you. Yeah, but I guess my point is that look, if you're a retailer and you're in the midst of a digital transformation, a business transformation initiative, HuLoop and other solution providers really have the capacity to bring new incredible value to the table without disrupting the infrastructure that you have. I think that that's so key.
Yeah. I've just become such a fan of API-led development, and that's one of the areas that the legacy providers, particularly of these large integrated solutions in ERP, they're not going to be able to re-architect their solution. So the retailers are essentially stuck with what they have if they maintain that legacy ERP, and they're going to need solutions like HuLoop to actually add value and create these efficiencies without because they're certainly not going to get them from the provider of those base systems.
So you're like so spot on. The ability to have an API led approach to integration, so strategically important. The ability to talk to anything, but I would just elevate the game a little bit. So even that requires, of course, a level of effort. So part of what we're doing that's part of our differentiation is we have this AI powered over the top capability When we started our conversation, I talked about the ability to create digital workers, digital assistants that essentially support our human workers. And this over-the-top capability means that our software bots, our digital workers, essentially will log into SAP or Salesforce.com or what have you, in the same way that a human would do. And you know, I guess the whole point is this gives us the versatility and flexibility to integrate, without having to write an interface, without having to depend on APIs. If it's a web application, a desktop application, or a mobile application, imagine a bot doing what otherwise a human would do, logging into SAP, picking a menu option, processing a transaction, exiting the application, and then waiting for the next transaction that needs to be processed. And so this over the top capability is part of the secret sauce, I think, that we're bringing to the table that is truly differentiating. It just means that we can deploy a lot faster. And what that really means in terms of digital transformation is today, non-technical business people have the capacity to work with a solution like ours without writing any code, without having an over dependency on IT.
Well, thank you very much for an over-the-top interview, Todd. I really appreciate it, except for our hairstyles, I mean, but that was great. I really appreciate your time today and sharing with us what you're doing at HuLoop and your thoughts and prognostications on the retail solutions market. And I wish you tons of success there at HuLoop and look forward to seeing you in the papers.
Daryl, thanks so much for having me. It's great catching up with you as always, and thank you to your listeners for joining us today.
Thanks for listening to Martalks. Please leave a review and a rating on your platform of choice. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all major podcast platforms. To find out more about how the Rosenstein Group can help you find the right leaders for your client development teams in MarTech and e-commerce, please visit our website, rosensteingroup.com.